around with the Lakeside Alliance. We are joined today by Tonya Trice for the South Shore Chamber of Commerce and Maurice Robinson with the Lakeside Alliance. We'll be joined later in our conversation by Cory, who is the president of the board of directors for the South Shore Chamber of Commerce. So, as the Lakeside Alliance, we are currently located in the South Shore community on 71st Street. And given the recent events and uprisings happening across our country, we wanted to use our platform to be able to talk more with businesses in the South Shore community and organizations in the South Shore community to play a part in the conversations that are happening around the rebuilding of what's happening. So over the next few weeks, you will see videos on our YouTube channel and on our social media outlets providing a space for local businesses in the South Shore community. You'll get to hear more about the resources being offered to those businesses and organizations by our local elected officials and then our state officials. So again, just wanted to use our platform to get the voices out there to find out more about what's happening in South Shore. So we're going to get started. So Tonya, you want to introduce yourself and tell the people who you are, what you do?
Yes. Hi, I'm Tonya Trice. I'm the Executive Director of the South Shore Chamber of Commerce and the South Shore Chamber Community Development Corporation. And we work with the small business owners in the South Shore community and the surrounding neighborhoods to help them identify resources for sustainability and growth. We also provide educational workshops and training. We do advocacy work for small businesses, and we serve as a liaison between the business owners and the elected officials and city and state agencies.
Okay. I know you are really pretty busy. You were busy before the stay-in-place order and COVID-19, because I've talked to quite a few businesses that you all have managed to kind of walk through the processes there. What things have you been able to do during this kind of COVID-19 pandemic, and what services have you been able to provide kind of in this virtual space, this new world that we're in right now? If you could speak to that a little bit.
Sure. Well, for the most part, we have definitely been trying to just stay in touch with the business owners in the community and find out where we can help them and find out how they're doing. Because this is not just a difficult time economically, but this is also a very challenging time emotionally for a lot of business owners. And that's something that, a lot of our organizations don't appeal to. The emotional side of the owner or the emotional side of operating a business and watching that business struggle and go through some challenges during these difficult times. You have emotional connections to your employees, to your client base, and sometimes you need to have a sounding board. So the chamber has been in touch with them. One of the main things that we have been trying to do is make sure that we can identify and connect them with resources and provide technical assistance for small business owners. We were instrumental with working with the University of Chicago to identify 28 South Shore businesses that received a grant from the University of Chicago to help them through the COVID crisis. The South Shore Chamber also is the service provider of Special Service Area 42, which is a tax-based entity, a tax-based program where property owners that have commercial property along the business corridors, they pay into a tax levy. And those funds are used to beautify the district and also provide economic development and support. We created an economic recovery grant program, and we were able to give grants to 10 of the businesses along 71st Street and on Stony Island. Each one of those businesses received $3,000 each. Also, we have been very busy with helping our business owners apply for the PPP loan programs. Glad to report that we have helped about, I'd say about 15 businesses right now so far. And we are still taking those applications. So we encourage everyone to please get those applications in because, as you all know, it's not a deadline for the PPP loans, but just a matter of when those funds will run out. And we want to make sure that we can get that money in the hands of everyone who needs it. The chamber has also worked with the city of Chicago to identify businesses that were eligible for the Resiliency Fund and also the city of Chicago Small Business Micro Grant. So those are the main resources that we have been helping to identify. As a
You said a
result,
lot there. You said a lot. That's a lot, right? In that, first and foremost, you pretty much decimated all the myths about whether or not there were actually resources available for small businesses, right? And that there are plenty of it. So we're of the mindset people just don't know about these. So is there a website maybe, or is there contact information that you can provide for folks to be able to contact you at the chamber or your staff to gain access to some of those resources?
sure, absolutely. This website is www.southshorechamberinc, southshorechamberinc.org. Also, we do have a newsletter that goes out twice a week where we list these resources. We are considered a small business resource navigator and a delegate agency for the city of Chicago. So a lot of businesses that may not be aware of what's available in their community, if they reach out to the city of Chicago, the city will direct them to the Chamber of Commerce. We're the Small Business Development Center and the delegate agency for the city of Chicago.
Okay.
And also, I said that backwards. We're the Neighborhood Business Development Center for the city of Chicago. And we also have a new designation. We're the Small Business Development Center for the state of Illinois. So that is a designation that we recently received. And as a result of that, we will be hiring 2 new business advisors and a director to run that program for us and definitely make sure that we can get the information and the resources out to the community and help any entrepreneurs that are interested in growing their businesses.
I mean, again, you are like full of good news today, right? So in the process of talking about the resources available for small businesses, you just threw that in there that you're actually looking for people, right? So there is a process to actually get hired doing this kind of whole COVID-19 space that we're in, or a global pandemic. Maurice, you look like you have a question for Tonya.
I did have a question, but I mean, Tonya answered them all already. So, I mean, there's really not much I can ask. But one, I do hear your sentiment about the emotional state of the community, and actually talking to a couple of businesses. They're actually partnering together, finding ways to help each other,
Yeah.
which is amazing. But beyond everything else that you said, are you partnering with any other organizations in the surrounding area, like Greater Grand Crossing? I mean, because this is obviously bigger than South Shore,
Yeah.
the situation. So are you partnering with any other organizations?
You know what? We have a partnership with Greater Chatham Initiative called Food Lab Chicago. That program was funded by Chicago Community Trust, and it focuses on minority restaurant owners of color. And it helps to identify the acute barriers that stop our restaurant owners from reaching the same level of success as, restaurant owners in other parts of town or, of different ethnic backgrounds.
Mm-hmm.
That program has been underway since the middle of April.
Okay.
And we have online cohorts every other Monday. And it's been really amazing because it has taught restaurateurs in South Shore and Chatham how to navigate during COVID, how to retrofit their businesses for the COVID to keep their staff safe, how to change their business model to adapt to COVID. And again, just to provide that level of resources and support that our restaurant owners need right now. The program is going really good. I think we have about 28 participants. We have a dynamic advisory board for that program. And we are looking to do a continuum of Food Lab Chicago, which, by the way, is modeled after Food Lab Detroit. Food Lab Detroit is a very successful program, and they licensed their program for South Shore Chamber and Greater Chatham. In addition to that, we have a very great relationship with the University of Chicago. They have been providing resources. We are receiving 500 flowers donated by the University of Chicago this Friday to help with the beautification initiatives that are underway in the community.
Okay.
I have been able to leverage my relationships with various organizations across the city, and the outpouring of support has been phenomenal. We have been offered volunteerism on all levels. I hate to say it, but we almost don't have enough work for all the volunteerism that is coming in.
That's a good problem.
Yeah, that's a great problem. Let's stay there and talk a little bit more about the rebuilding effort. So Maurice, I'm gonna turn this part of the conversation over to you to talk a little bit more about that.
Right. Might sound like a generic question, but when you talked about the food deserts, I'm sorry, not the food deserts, but when you talked about the restaurateurs, we know what happened with the grocery store on 71st Street. How are we going to rebuild that grocery store, and then also provide food for individuals who are in need of that?
Well, now the grocery store on 71st Street was very fortunate. They did not suffer a lot of damage like the other grocery stores on the southeast side of Chicago. And I have to give credit to all the person for that, because she put together a police presence that did not get penetrated. She had the perimeters of the building covered. She blocked off the streets that led into the grocery store. So that was, they were able to control the traffic and keep everyone out. There was one breach in the roof of that grocery store, but the looters were not able to do any major damage to that store. And we're very fortunate because our store is still standing. They were able to reopen, and we were one of the first grocery stores on the southeast side to get their store back up and running just a few days after the looting. The South Shore Chamber assisted with the board-ups of the store to prevent any glass and windows from being broken out. We hired one of our members who's an independent contractor, and he was out there right away to get the store boarded up. Also, local market has been a great partner in the community. In partnership with the SSA and the South Shore Chamber, we did a program called Feeding South Shore. And we were able to provide fresh produce and fresh vegetables to 1,000 families in the community. That program just ended yesterday. We identified about 5 senior buildings in the community, 1 low-income complex, and also a domestic violence complex. And local market provided bags of grocery enough to feed families of 4, and had the food delivered to the property managers at each one of those locations to make sure that there was contactless delivery. And we fed 1,000 families as a result of that. The program has been so successful that we have received additional donations to continue feeding families in the South Shore community. We are still looking for more donations because this is something that we think we can continue. And although our focus was on seniors and residents that were at risk, there's also a demographic of low-income families with children that are in school right now that could use and could benefit from those groceries. And as long as the grocery store owner is willing to partner with us for Feeding South Shore, we want to continue to identify resources that will help us extend this program.
Okay. And as far as the beautification, I know that some buildings were just cosmetic damage on the outside of the building. Is there anything to do? Are you guys doing anything to help with reconstructing the facades of the buildings, particularly along Yates? I know that young lady, the young lady who owns a laundromat, some of her laundromats were damaged. Vanita Roy, who has some issues as well. Are you doing anything to help rebuild the facades?
Well, yeah, we are working to identify those businesses and make sure that the city of Chicago is aware. The city of Chicago has created a $10 million fund to help businesses on the south and west with facade repairs. So just yesterday, my staff and I
let me see if I can get
I'm sorry,
Tracy to get
you're breaking up a little bit, Tracy.
So go in there.
Is it like I guess
No. I said we'll be later. I said we'll be joined later in the conversation by Cory Thames, who is the president of the board. So you can go in and then go inside the resource center. Okay.
Pam?
Yeah, I just noticed that I was not on mute.
No worries.
No
That's
problem.
great. So again, this is all a part of the whole new virtual space. So Cory is actually on his way into the physical space of the resource center. Yeah, so here we are.
Okay.
So this will be fun when we replay the video, right?
Wait, so he's actually coming into the building?
Yes, he's coming into the building.
Oh, he's here.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Ah.
So we're gonna get him set up to chat a little bit or whatever. So he may have to replace you, Maurice.
Yeah, that's no problem.
In your spot there. We'll do like the soap operas when they were getting rid of an actor, but like the new part is now being played.
Absolutely.
So I overheard a little bit of the conversation about, and Maurice was getting into a little bit more detail about all the businesses that we've been reaching out to, because we definitely want to give them a platform, and give them a space to really talk about what's happening with their businesses. I think it is important, as the Lakeside Alliance, as the builder of the Obama Presidential Center, to utilize our platform in the most responsible way, right? And being a neighbor in the South Shore community, we thought that this was the best way to be neighborly, right? To do those things. So, it's a new time for everyone, right? We're in a global pandemic. We're in the middle of demonstrations and uprisings happening across the country. And I think it's even more important for us to be able to show the unity and the united front that's going into helping, right? And helping in our way. I think a lot of folks may feel a little bit stifled because they don't know what to do. And I always think that doing your best in your lane always works.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was going to say that because that's how you create sustainable change. When you're operating, you're doing your best to maximize the space that you occupy, and that's how you create sustainable change.
Yes, absolutely. And that is definitely the message that we tried to communicate to the entire community last week after the looting. We partnered with Neighborhood Network Alliance for volunteers to come out and stand in solidarity, one, with the grocery store owners, to let them know that we wanted to protect our store. Only store left standing in South Shore, a full service grocery store. So we kind of did a little community policing, if you will. Everyone went to the parking lot just to show symbolically that we wanted to protect that store. And also volunteers from all over came out to help clean up the stores that were looted and clean up the broken glass and all of that. And people offered the support that they knew how. And most of them, Pamela, I have to admit, they were willing to get in and get their hands dirty. They wanted to clean up. They wanted to be part of the cleanup effort. So it was a great turnout. Yeah.
Right. So I see we've been joined by Cory.
Good morning, everybody.
So Cory Thames is the president of the board of directors for the South Shore Chamber of Commerce. And we spent the last 30 minutes or so, Cory, really talking with Tonya about the work of the chamber. I quite frankly, even though we are neighbors, didn't know the chamber did all of the stuff that she named, right? And now in this space where we are having to pivot a little bit,
Yeah.
right? Some of us have already worked on issues around like community rebuilding and community development and things of that nature, but we are now in this space where we have to look at things through a different lens. So can you share, as the president of the board of directors for the South Shore Chamber, the importance of having such an active partner in the chamber, and then all the organizations that are around the community, and what kind of collective efforts are happening there?
Yeah, so just to clarify, are you speaking specifically around like how we've been rebounding post-COVID, or just generally speaking?
Both rebounding post-COVID, number one, and then just in general, period. Because I know that it's now more of a concentrated effort in the work that's being done now.
Yeah. So I'd say a couple of things. One, to kind of hyper focus on where we are post-COVID, right? The Chamber is one of the lead organizations in South Shore supporting the business community. And so right now, what our primary focus has been working with local businesses, local community organizations, helping them through the PPP process, linking them to different resources, funding opportunities, whether it's through the city or through private foundations, really just trying to make sure that they have the resources that they need to successfully thrive. I think that COVID, and now after the aftermath of a lot of the looting that happened last week, businesses now more than ever really need an organization like the Chamber to really be able to rely on offering those support services that they need to get back up and running. The tough part, and I think that's something that both Tonya and I grapple with and think about, is how do we ensure for those businesses that were already having a really tough time rebounding from COVID, and then you compound it, right, with looting and things like that. How do those businesses come back? And that's why I think now it's critical that you have organizations like the Chamber working in partnership with a lot of the local community organizations to really, one, rebuild our community after everything that's happened, and two, ensure that we are lifting folks up and providing them the resources and linkage opportunities to really be successful. Generally speaking, I think that as the Chamber continues to grow, and we continue to bring in new businesses and incentivize new people to start businesses. We have a bunch of different initiatives that we're working on right now. The Artisans Collective is a great example of how we're working with micro businesses to get them from the point of conception to the point of inception. Really working to provide them the tools and experience that they need working in a brick and mortar. And so I think that when you have initiatives like that are really trying to gear up this new wave of small business owners, it's really impactful in a community like South Shore, and hopefully is directing people to be able to build their clientele and get up and going successfully. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, so that's good stuff. So that falls in line with the mission of the Lakeside Alliance, right? Because as the Lakeside Alliance, we have strived really to, again, use our resources to leverage our resources and leverage our relationships to better connect folks, right? And again, we want to be a responsible neighbor in making certain that we are using our platform during this time to highlight the great work that is actually happening, because we know that the work only gets done, if we have a collective voice and collective hands and collective feet to get it kind of moving. So we're at about 40 minutes or so. So I definitely want to wrap up and make certain that we reiterate how folks can get in contact, especially now in the virtual space. So if folks want to connect with the Chamber, Tonya, how would they do that?
The easiest way is to email us at info@southshorechamberinc.org. And we are still working remotely. You can call our office number at 773-955-9508. And someone from our office will respond as soon as possible. And also
Great.
our website, www.southshorechamberinc.org.
Great. I don't know, did you get a chance to actually shout out Slab that has the best barbecue?
Oh,
Okay,
you got to shout out Slap.
you gotta give a shout out to Slab, Tonya.
Well, if you are twisting my arm, right? So my husband and I are owners of Slab Barbecue, located at 1918 East 71st Street. I believe in not just talking the talk, but walking the walk. So we located our business right in South Shore on the 71st Street corridor. And it's been doing pretty good. The community has really embraced us. We just completed our second year of business, so now we're entering into our third year. And we were voted as one of the best new barbecue restaurants on the south side of Chicago. Had a very nice feature on Steve Delinsky's Hungry Hound last year, which really catapulted our business. And actually, he came in for lunch last Sunday. He was in Cleveland. He came last Sunday and posted it all over his social media. So we had an uptick in business over the weekend. And we wanted to provide, just a different option in terms of food choices in the community and some healthier options. All of our sides are made fresh from scratch every day. Fresh collard greens, mac and cheese, yams. Our barbecue is fresh daily, nothing frozen or refrigerated. We serve right off the pit every day. And the community has really embraced it.
So now I'm
just
hungry,
add on to that as somebody that is an avid supporter of this business, that they have some of the best barbecue that I've ever tasted. And if you don't eat pork, they have some of the best turkey burgers that I've ever had. So this is coming from the horse's mouth. It is an excellent food option, and I will definitely sign off on that.
So again, thank you so much, Cory and Tonya, for joining the Lakeside Alliance in what will be a series of conversations with South Shore business owners and South Shore organizations to really talk more about rebuilding South Shore and, most importantly, rebuilding South Shore together. If you would like to contact the Lakeside Alliance, we are working remotely. You can contact us at 312-277-2177, or you can visit us at our website at www.lakesidealliance.com. Especially if you are a business owner in the South Shore community or an organization in the South Shore community doing good stuff, we definitely want to provide you with a platform to do that. So thanks, everyone. We'll see you again next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.